So when we can get rid of the mind, we start to see the unseen. I say live as the impossible dream. Live as the things that seem impossible to others, because that is your original code. You're meant to break the illusion that everything is actually possible. Dark magic is a form of manipulating light energy to become the inverse of it. So when we see a reflection, and I speak about energy as all emotions are equal, hexes are designed to suppress our light body, and they amplify a part of our shadow, the archetype of the shadow, as the living, breathing primary vehicle. So when we hit our rock bottom, we don't have to stay there, because we have nothing to lose, actually. We have everything to receive. Symbols allow us to go beyond the mind, and it brings a universal mainframe core system that allows you to access your higher wisdom. Every underlying thought, both spoken and unspoken, I say the universe is constantly eavesdropping on you, what we call in astrology, the Chiron key. It's one of those big, moving moments that shakes up your world and shows you, who am I beyond this story, and how can I live and tell the story? The biggest visual I'm getting right now is the Akashic records. And when you see the Akasha, and you have access to the library of life, and all past, present, and future, all things, you get to choose the story that you tell, that you're no longer held to the chains of time itself. Time is a construct created by the mind to keep us slaves to an old system of pain and suffering. When we're free from that, we start to become the living embodiment of what I call as light play. So my name's Ivan Rose, and I've been on my journey since about 2 years old. I'm 35 now, so I've been on this 33-year journey and path towards remembering who I am, why I'm here, and going through an experience where you lose everything and you're picking up all these pieces and connecting and remembering who you are. It's been a journey of remembrance and never giving up on my inner child's dreams. And I say, when you live and breathe those inner child dreams that you've always had, that's the legacy that you're leaving behind that's already been written in the stars. You have access to this at any point, and you can always be exactly that. And live in what people call is authenticity. Authenticity is actually embodying a deeper level of kindness, connection, and compassion, where your inner child is the center of your life and everything else expands out from there. So inner wisdom, for me, I grew up Catholic, so this very organized religion where I was given a bunch of structure and rituals and things, and I had no opportunity to say, is this right for me? Does this fit my own experience of who I know the universe or God is? So with inner wisdom, it's you having developed a level of critical thinking where you're questioning everything and you're saying, is this actual consciousness and actual eternal wisdom? Or is this an illusion that keeps us stuck in this game of duality, which is this game of light and dark, sadness and happiness? Inner wisdom is your ability to discern and understand what is true for you, for all sentient beings, and for all universes at large.
That's amazing. Can you define what spirituality is?
Yeah. So I say spirituality is the way that you make love in the way that you live your life.
I love that. What is your definition of magic?
Yeah. Magic is being able to take what is once invisible and create an invisible, practical experience for people to remember who they truly are. Because with magic, we're learning what it's like again to be able to experience the world and the universe from the lens and from the eyes of the universe, rather than from our version of what we think we see. It's having a deeper trust in the unknown and uncertain and creating a quantum playground from that state.
What is ancestral magic?
Yes. So our blood is telepathic. And what I mean by that is you have access to all ancestors, all previous lifetimes, and through that experience, your ancestral magic can be turned on, awakened, and you have a voice in this lifetime that is a channel and a sacred channel of all other voices of each individual ancestor. And I mentioned that when we get upwards of 20 generations, this is about 1.18 million individuals, if you imagine a family tree and genealogy, that were required to manifest you in your particular timeline. So your ancestral magic is your entire tree of wisdom, of truth, of liberation that you get to access just by calling it in and declaring that it is already yours.
Really cool.
Yes.
What are codes of the universe? What does that mean when someone says a code?
Yeah. So codes are like mathematical equations that love and are waiting to be unlocked. And when we calibrate to certain codes and frequencies, I'll take wealth, for example. This is like a simple code to really tune into. When you've calibrated to your wealth codes, what happens is you're getting access to higher levels of wealth, higher levels of generosity, higher levels of showing up, where now the resource, which once felt like, oh, I don't have enough of this. I went through a divorce where my ex-husband left me with nothing and left me homeless for about 8 weeks. I didn't have a place to stay. I didn't have a car. And I noticed that these resources that I once had that were taken from me, I declared to the universe and I said, I'm ready to receive everything that's been waiting for me. This was a code that downloaded into my consciousness and allowed me to shift my whole life paradigm. So codes are like the clothes that we wear for our new core identity and embodiment that elevates us to a higher level of consciousness and allows us to attract and magnetize the frequency at that pitch, just like a piece of music. So when we're coded, we're unlocking these dormant memories of who we were in the past. And I say we're actually all from a royal line and a royal lineage. That's our initial birthright, our original birth state. And when we unlock these codes, we're starting to open dormant DNA that's sleeping. And we're accessing that eternal wisdom from all of our lifetimes. And then it's like getting and receiving a dowry or a fund or a trust that has been passed down from each ancestor. So they choose specifically who holds wealth, who carries it forward, and the higher levels of consciousness that we connect to and calibrate to, you get higher access to codes that become more advanced. And then it becomes more subtle, and then it becomes effortless and easy. So when you know a code is on and it's working, it will feel like the way that you just walk into a room and then everything gravitates in your direction. Everything, all eyes become part of your experience and part of your celebration. So codes are like, mastering codes is one of the keys to calibrating to the compound effect and to greater layers and levels of wealth, abundance, and health and relationships.
Is that with our human body or is that through our consciousness?
Yes, it's both. So I say, when you begin the code in your physical body, it acts as the vehicle for your spiritual body. So we're actually in a spiritual vehicle right now. This body that we have, what we can see, we're actually projecting a holographic projection, a hologram out into the world. And just like film, if you ever look at the back of a cinema and it has the little case where you see the glass and you see the light peering through, that's actually us at our core. What's being projected out into the open is happening from an internal to an external space. How we flip consciousness, this is how we break free of lack consciousness. When we're externally focused and we see everything else, we've forgotten the original state of the projector. So from that state, we're able to access more of an operant power, which is saying, I'm the main director, I'm the main character, and I'm the main narrator of my own story. From that state, everything else is an image reflected and continuously amplified from that direct source code. So your code, when we talk about, is it more of a spiritual code or a physical code? The way that you connect to your physical projection, the spiritual codes are like the messages that appear on the screen and the image and visualizations. It's what's being projected out into the world. So everything is actually spiritually manifested, but from the physical embodiment. This is our master vehicle for manifestation.
So are you saying I can download codes to extend my life?
You are the original source, master motherboard and computer, and the codes are what you input into the main system that allows you to create the physical reality.
I can heal my body through codes?
You heal your body by going into your body and then remembering the codes of what it's like to go beyond healing. So healing is a lack of awareness to the code that is already in you. And when you remember the code, illness or disease or low vibration is actually just disjointed energy that's fragmented or is not hitting a specific pitch or frequency where it's like the resonance when you felt the bulbs, when you feel the sound, you feel a pristine quality to it, a ping, we call it a ring. And when you have that level of resonance, then you know that you're attenuating to the natural flow and order of the universe. And from that state, no disease can exist. And that's how we maintain the code. It starts with your body. And then from the embodiment, the codes and the sounds, they're able to download and manifest, and you're able to call them in at any time.
Can these codes grant me beauty?
So I work with a lot of beauty codes. So fun thing for those who love astrology, I'm all water in my chart and earth. Thanks. All water and earth. And with beauty codes, I know, oh, you want to talk to? These beauty codes, they're allowing you to access what some people will call as the fountain of youth. I say our face, when we can manifest and work on this face, do lots of face yoga. Our face, like people talk about the face card and all this stuff. Your face is the first expression that people are feeling from your soul, and it's downloading a level and a mirror of saying, how am I living my life as a bright light, as a bright vibration that allows me to resonate beauty, which is the highest form of enlightenment. We say when you connect to beauty, this is not a synthetic, Botox-filled, kind of like celebrity-style beauty, the things that we see with filters. These beauty codes themselves, and I work a lot with Venus. So Venus is such a powerful energy, such a powerful planet. I know, feeling the energy. When we're starting to amplify that, if we recognize that and we see that, then we're opening up the field of agelessness, of timelessness. So the true access to beauty is when we can go at any age, beyond time. You're able to remember what it's like to see the world through the lens of love, and then to celebrate it through what we call as gratitude and desire.
What about using codes to access grace?
So this is a great question. Grace is a devotional connection you have to the divine. And what I mean by devotion is your connection to spirit, to Mother Nature. We're actually learning to walk in the arms and also shoulder to shoulder with the Divine Mother. She's the original creator of form and creation. And we have what's called this cosmic dance, a cosmic ritual. Grace is being able to take the gifts of the Divine Feminine through an inner Divine Masculine embodiment. I'll take one spiritual teacher, or two actually, that have embodied this. So for those who are familiar with Jesus or Christ consciousness, this is a physiological Divine Masculine, but with the embodiment of the Divine Feminine. So in an illusion, he's living and breathing as grace through the lens of the Divine Mother, but he has it through the mask for his current timeline. So he's not killed, he's not shot off, because if he was a woman in that lifetime, he would not be able to deliver the codes of creation, the codes of grace in that moment. So we're learning to blend what I visualize grace is. It's being able to take both masculine and feminine principles and intertwining that to become the inner child. And I've been calling this the Trinity Force. So if we take a code, you're seeing from different pillars, we have our inner parents of Divine Masculine and Feminine, and these go beyond characteristics or qualities. What I mean by that is your ability to deliver and discern is a masculine, Divine Masculine trait, and your ability to receive, to be, to have that softness, that's more of the feminine quality. When we add these together, the inner child is the innovative masterpiece and artistic expression of both. So grace is the flow between the masculine and feminine and inner child in an effortless way. And you start to get this powerful triple frequency where now you have access to your whole constellation or your inner family. And that's where we start to master higher levels of grace. We can navigate between all three in a very awakened, conscious, clear state.
What is masculinity and femininity? And do I, as a woman, possess both aspects?
Yeah. So with masculine and feminine, in this lifetime specifically, we see a lot of what I'll call as the gender divide. It's a very political thing, and it boxes us into very specific wounded archetypes. And it comes from a place of pain. It comes from a place of suffering and also suppression of expression. When we're activating our masculine and feminine codes, no matter your biological state, what happens is this frequency connection is allowing you to remember your original source code, which comes to light. We're actually a physical body with light codes learning to radiate through the non-gender, the genderless form of light. So light has no gender. The frequency of light, if you take red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, and then you start to go into ultraviolets, and you start to go to higher levels of light, which become invisible. there is no gender that exists at that frequency, state, and level. So I have some friends in the LGBTQIA plus community ask, what are your pronouns? And I say, I transcend gender. Gender is its own manipulated, suppressed box where you are asking people to judge you based on their limited belief about what actual frequency consciousness is. And even the masculine and feminine form, if we take it in the form of light, masculine is like a laser and feminine is like a forest fire. It's wild, it's brilliant, it will take over and take up space. The masculine is like a sharp sword or a knife, like a sushi knife or a samurai knife, and it cuts through. So it has the power to chop through consciousness. And the feminine is the one that takes up space and allows everything to grow and to rejuvenate and to expand and elevate.
That was amazingly said. What is your opinion on color magic?
Yeah.
How you were talking about light codes
Yes.
just then, if you could elaborate.
Yeah. So when we start to go into aura and energy maps, for example, I'm wearing a bit of blue today, a bit of red. Our body and our color codes, we actually have complementary colors that help represent our inner aura. And when we start to match these, what happens is people will feel you before you speak, before you move, before you say anything. You're actually allowing them to attenuate and to entrain to a higher level of light and energy that becomes our natural state. I see us as cosmic, rainbow-like prisms with polyfractile density of matter. And what I mean by that is we're able to reflect like a disco ball or a kaleidoscope, all of creation. So you are creation itself. You are the code of creation, desiring and waiting to be unlocked through love, through a life and the experience of that. So all life experiences that you go through allows you to experience the entire spectrum of the colors. We're learning to navigate and to be able to use, like a finely tuned instrument, each layer of light. Because we're actually light beings at our core. We come from the stars. We come from the galaxies and the planets. And I say we're just visitors here on this plane. We're on temporary stay. But when we remember we are light, we're able to bring that into such a dense field of experience, and it's creating a movement, a tactile movement as well, with touch, with stimulation. We're shaking up old frequencies that are dense so that we can continue to rise to a greater love, a greater light, a greater compassion. So if we take emotions in this way, any lower emotions like lack, fear, shame, guilt, insecurities, these are darker in tone and color. They move slower on the spectrum of time, but as we increase vibration to joy, happiness, peace, bliss, ecstasy, ecstatic, amplified love, unconditional, the giggling love that becomes so contagious. These higher frequencies transcend the map of energy, and you're able to access and create much lighter codes of light, which travel faster than the speed of sound, faster than the speed of light. Then we start to get into the quantum space. This is how we start to collapse timelines, and then we start to access and deepen our code, original source, like a diamond. We're reflecting and refracting all layers and levels of light through the whole spectrum of not only the rainbow, but also from the space where we're calibrating simultaneously the lighter colors from above, the lower, darker colors from below. And when we converge and collapse that, this is how we take our future, our past, and then it enters and folds into the present now. So light is actually frequencies that can stack and can merge, and then you can start to elevate higher levels of consciousness just by understanding the light, the aura, the field that you're projecting, both internally out into the world.
Amazingly said. What are fractals? What is frequency?
Yeah, the first time I experienced fractals, you'll get blinks of light. So those that work with their spirit guides, those that work with energy healing modalities, they're like flickers of light that show up. Mine comes up as blue or like a crimson blue. And they're like little blinks in time and space that show you where we're living is either an illusion or it's a living, breathing reality based on our inner projection. So it lets you catch things or codes that are false, that are self-serving. When we start to enter the major mainframe system of the quantum field itself, what's so cool about this is the fractal is like saying, I am the chessboard, I am the game master, and I choose the rules of the game, I choose the characters who play in the game, and through that understanding, I'm no longer just being one tiny little seed and pod, living in isolation in a box. You become the one that has mastery to all shapes, sounds, frequencies, spaces, and then you become the field itself. So this is the power that we have and what becomes available to us.
Can we download intelligence from codes or from channeling? Can you explain what channeling is?
So channeling is training yourself to be able to attenuate and tune in to the frequency, or what I like to call is the energetic match to what you want to vibrate with and as. So I'll take angels, for example. Some people channel angelic messages, and we're here from the human state. We exist in this plane, and when we want to communicate to our angels and our guides, rather than trying to reach their level of frequency, we actually just have to meet in the middle. So this is what the channel is. It's the bridge and space between the energy frequency and ourselves that allows it, almost like a binaural, to create a new frequency to establish connection. So in an easy way, there's this high frequency you desire to connect to, and you're here. You just have to elevate your consciousness through breathing, meditation, focus, presence, physical movement and practice that allows you to become an open vessel, an open communication channel with a greater Wi-Fi signal that allows you to connect directly and say, now I'm on that FM radio frequency that allows me to tune in and start to communicate. So it's this medium of manifestation. That's the channel that you're creating to start to tune in to your higher wisdom, your higher consciousness and embodiment.
What are angels?
Yeah. So angels, when we think of the frequency of angels, we all have angelic DNA in our body. Angels are light bodies living and vibrating at such a high rate. We are tuning when we visualize and we connect to an angel. They are ancient guardians and guides that protect source code. They're sentinels and they're protectors of the lineage of light. So when we look at light guardians, you can, for those that receive angel messages or light codes, your angels can communicate to you in many ways where their field is operating specifically between chakra 7, which is our crown, chakra 8, which is life purpose, chakra 9, which is soul purpose. Those orbs of energy exist in this plane. So imagine about 10 to 15 feet, angel frequencies are available from that state. So I'm visualizing and saying physically about 10, 15 feet above your crown, angel frequencies in the physical plane are accessible from there. And your angels are able to give you clarity and real clear understanding from any noise of any obstacle, of any old story that's distorted. They're able to remind you of your original source code of light. So they're ancient messengers that allow you to remember who you are at a soul level, at your core.
That was wonderfully said. What are ghosts?
Yeah. So ghosts, a lot of people have a negative connotation towards ghosts. Ghosts, if we think of it here on the physical plane, are bodies that have not fully transitioned into the next transition or space. So for a ghost that ever feels trapped in the physical plane, they're looking and they're still searching because they don't know that they've passed. They're still searching and seeking and saying, who am I beyond a physical embodiment in this personal plane, in this physical plane? When we think about ghosts, and we think about our ancestors, we think about haunted houses, we go into a little bit of the spooky realms of it. We are able to free these ghosts or these entities from this plane when we allow them. And this is for those that are more sensitive as well to the energy. It is so important that you always know that your voice is much stronger than any external entity, even ghosts. So you just declaring, I have no desire for you to enter my space. I'm asking with full force that you leave my space and that you go back to your original source so that you can continue doing your soul's work in your next timeline. Thank you. We have the ability to call out and also call in any entities that are not serving to bring them back to the light, and any light ghosts or light entities or light workers, you're able to use them in your space to allow them to access not a, what I'll call is, so a lot of people will ask this question, here's a follow-up on top of it. Are all ghosts bad? Are all ghosts have good intentions? The ghost is part of the liminal space. They're neither a physical body or a soul. They're what's the in-between from a physical body and a soul reaching its full maturity back to source. So you can almost visualize it, right? We almost see, like, you can imagine vapor, or you can imagine steam. It's this in-between energy that is still in transit towards its next destination. The best way we can help someone get to their next destination is to allow them to close the old stories, to let go of fear, to forgive, to have deeper levels of kindness and compassion. And from that space of love, where love naturally flows, they're able to transcend to their original source code and light code, which reflects love in our physical plane, but in that light vibration. So ghosts are just transitioning. Help them find their way back home, the original home.
What is ether?
Yeah. So all of you are familiar with the elements of fire, of earth, of water, of air. Ether, which I like to call the fifth element, it's the movement and the manifestation. Just as we are all artists, we're all visionaries here in this lifetime, this golden age of Renaissance 2.0. Ether is the combination of these four elements in harmony that allows it to express as the soul's authentic embodiment. So you are all of elements, all of energy. You just being you is the element of ether. And through that cosmic transmission and download, there is no longer any separation between what you desire, what you have, and what's coming your way. So we start to close any space between, and we allow this closeness and intimacy of connection to creation. It's like the breath of God being delivered onto us, and remembering how to breathe through God's breath, through God's words. This is the frequency connection to ether. It's like the form of oxygen that God would breathe from a universal frequency.
What is the law of attraction?
Yeah. So law of attraction, this is so powerful. I tune in to what is called the law of opposites and law of vibration. But when we think of the law of attraction, what you say is already occurring as either a limiting belief or a limitless belief. So based on your core beliefs of how you speak, I am rich, I am wealthy, it is already happening at another level and layer that's slowly or quickly being downloaded into conscious real time. The law of attraction states, as long as I declare who I am, the how of the universe provides the answers to all my questions of how. As long as I'm embodying the who, the law of attraction for any outcomes and results I desire in my life will automatically attune to the frequency of that thought and that vibration and vision, and then the universe begins to do the how. The universe begins to do the hard work, the heavy lifting. And all, for those that want to amplify the law of attraction, you are constantly creating thoughts that influence your environment. And from those states of environmental change and transition, you are actually the home, the vibration of your inner home, which I call as heaven on Mother Earth. This home frequency is the one that allows you to become this living magnet, this breathing vibrational flow, where now all rivers flow to you. You are that single drop of water in an entire ocean of consciousness. This is the vibration of the law of attraction. You're also the ocean itself. So manifest as the ocean, not as the single drop.
What is timelines?
Yeah, so I'm gonna explain it from this level. My hand's going across a horizontal timeline, which we know exists as the past, present, and future. When we start to work with a vertical timeline, you're actually flipping all of this on its head, where the past becomes your foundation. It's an anchor point, which operates at a much denser level of energy, feels slow and heavy. As you raise that vibration into the present, this is your normal waking life, and the future operates at high speed, high frequency. We have multiple, multi-dimensional realities that exist at that plane. When you start to harness and anchor all three working together, this vertical timeline exists beyond the current false time that we work with the 24 hours of the day. There's actually no time in the universal timeline when we start to operate in the vertical position. So when we go beyond this, I'm writing a book right now called The Intimacy of Belonging. I say fold the past to free the future, to embody your soul's energy legacy in the present. So this frequency vibration in that central channel, you're learning to become a vertical pillar of light that is now in line with the laws of the universe, the law of gravity. You're not leaving any carbon footprints on the planet. You're actually tuning in to that single pillar, that frequency that's so crystal clear and pure that you're no longer held to the chains of time itself. Time is a construct created by the mind to keep us slaves to an old system of pain and suffering. When we're free from that, we start to become the living embodiment of what I call as light play. So here's the thing about shadow work when I'm talking about timelines. Shadow work operates on an old time, which is only horizontal. I flip the script and I say, when you activate light play, you're learning to become a light show, a light disco ball, a light kaleidoscope, and now you're creating all of your energy time for more of this circular perspective and this energetic vortex, or what we call as the spiral. Real time from source code operates on a spiral, fractal, dimensional reality. Old time, mental time, operates on a linear, binary code of lack and richness. It fights between these two. When we enter this channel, you're accessing the whole field and you're learning to move like the energetics of water and light. These two elements play together, they amplify each other, and this is the access to the real timeline. We call it the present now. It's where the future and the past converge and collapse to a multi-dimensional timeline where you have access to all of you, rather than linear parts of you. So real time is not linear, it's spherical and circular and vortexed.
Can we use our inner child to master the anchor of past?
Yeah, so our inner child has the ability to visit any timeline. Our inner child is an active online ancestor that is directly downloaded for you to build your spiritual board of directors. And when you have access to the inner child, they can bring you across any timeline. And the power of that and knowing that, when you experience an old emotion and you want to heal it, as long as you are bringing awareness into the present moment now, that those feelings, when the child was either abandoned or lost, when you bring them back online and you allow them to experience the love that is theirs unconditionally, that child is allowing the past to become part of your present, to allow future healing for yourself and your family and multiple generations. So we're learning to become time machines. We're learning to become time alchemists. When we alchemize time, we're able to receive the fruit for a greater level of service in a conscious reality where we become unified in our consciousness.
How can we activate different timelines as our guides?
This is so powerful. So the visual I got is when you get a message in a download, and say you're operating on this horizontal timeline, you'll get hits dropping in as you're moving through, as you're going about your day. Once you've gotten a bunch of those hits and you see the pattern is recurring, what's happening is the field is showing you, hey, align yourself to this vertical timeline so that you have access to all the codes. The biggest visual I'm getting right now is the Akashic records. And when you see the Akasha and you have access to the library of life and all past, present, and future, all things, you get to choose the story that you tell. You get to choose the character that you play. When we understand the hero's journey of going through the shadow and coming back to the light, we come full circle. The greatest code in simplicity is the balance of the sun and moon. That is us, or our original parents, and we are the water, the generation of fire and ice manifested between the sun and the moon. It's a balance between our emotions and also embodying the emotions as these emotional masters. We're learning to embody the human emotional field in full potential to be able to move emotions to greater clarity. And all emotions are equal on this plane.
What role do our shadow selves play in our evolution?
Yeah. Our shadow selves are your greatest ally, and they're your greatest adversary that strengthens your capacity to be more of who you're meant to be in your highest potential. So the shadow is not negative in any way. It's there to show us, how can I bring more light, and what is the lesson that I'm learning here so that I can activate those light codes in other people that I need. So the more shadows that you go through, it allows you to clear the entire field of what once felt unknown and uncertain. It gives you clarity and the creation state where you're working and blending a deeper capacity where the shadow is there to anchor you, it's there to hold you, it's there to deepen your ability to have much greater levels of empathy and compassion for yourself and for others. It's one of the greatest superpowers you can activate and that you can learn from. So it's actually one of our master teachers. It's our Achilles heel, or what we call in astrology, the Chiron key. It's one of those big moving moments that shakes up your world, and shows you, who am I beyond this story, and how can I live and tell the story where this allows me to be relatable and allows others to have and understand we are all part of our stories. And when we can share that, we start to shift out of this underdog energy. We start to rise to our greatest hero and our greatest potential. And then it comes full circle. So the shadow is necessary for us to understand, oh, how much more light can I fill in this space, and allow the shadow to be part of my roots and my foundation to continue to evolve and grow.
How does our subconscious selves affect our conscious selves?
Yes. Our subconscious is operating 95% of the time. Our conscious is just a projection of that. So if we go right into the neuroscience and the subconscious, every underlying thought, both spoken and unspoken, I say the universe is constantly eavesdropping on you. So even before a thought becomes physical form, we have what's called the first thought in movement. This happens right around the sacral and solar plexus areas of the body. So imagine, even before it gets to the mind, you're already getting a ping. What some people call as butterflies or a gut feeling, this is your initial impulse before something becomes fully born or fully fledged into physical. So when we connect and we're deep into the conscious state, we're allowing the energetics and the frequency vibration of what you're desiring and what you're creating. When we look at thoughts, beliefs, actions, outcomes, and results, you're going through this whole line and connecting that thought form into, again, when we've talked about this vertical timeline, this pillar, you're actualizing the intelligence of your entire mainframe. And then we start to operate more in this frequency of I am. It is this presence of I am, or what we say in Sanskrit and yoga is soham. It's the beating drum, the natural rhythm and cadence of the universe's heart. And we start to pulse that out into the world, and then we start to vibrate in our most natural state.
What role does symbolism play in human consciousness?
Yeah. So I'll take a simple rose as one of his sacred archetypes. It's a sacred symbol. Our symbols remind us of all timelines, of all lifetimes. And it's also passed down from our ancestors to remember our original seed, our original story. Symbols allow us to go beyond the mind, and it brings a universal mainframe core system that allows you to access your higher wisdom through your ancestors, and it also allows the mind to create greater levels of focus. So the power of symbols, and ancient symbols as well, they are, I'll take the Ankh as one powerful symbol. It's the sacred womb, it's the cosmic womb. And you can see how this symbol has changed over time to division. You see the cross. People start to live in boxes and they start to separate themselves in these boxes. When we're aligning to consciousness, all symbols lead back to the original source code of the circle and of that creation seed and that core. They are each, in their own way, a portal into deeper levels of manifestation. One of the first symbols that awakened my consciousness was the Sri Yantra. And the Sri Yantra, most symbols we think are 2D, but when we actually visualize it in its full capacity, it's a multi-dimensional object. So you can actually see a symbol in its 3D form, 4D, 5D, and beyond. And through that experience and expression, the power of evolution of it is each symbol has its root in the ancient technology of our ancestors. So they're tools and metaphysical tools that our ancestors used to remind us of our soul's frequency. They're like tattoos in time and space, and a picture capturing multiple stories, or what we call as Dharma consciousness, and they are each their own way of receiving codes of enlightenment. So their memories passed down by our ancestors, like talismans, like heirlooms. They allow us to remember who we are, to not forget who we are. And you can see how symbols can be manipulated, how symbols can be used for bad, for evil, malicious things. There's even hexes and symbols used for that, more of this dark magic, black magic. When we can operate with a symbol, it amplifies the field and it amplifies your intention, similar to a crystal or similar to a metaphysical object.
What is hexes? What is dark magic?
Yeah. Dark magic is a form of manipulating light energy to become the inverse of it. So when we see a reflection, and I speak about energy as all emotions are equal, hexes are designed to suppress our light body, and they amplify a part of our shadow, the archetype of the shadow, as the living, breathing primary vehicle. Hexes are also used for curses, for families, and we can talk about ancestral curses and all of this as well. Hexes are, in a way, when I visualize a hex, they prevent you from accessing your higher layers of light codes, and they keep you in the drama and the trauma of that current vibration or lower vibration. It comes from the wounded warrior. It comes from the victim. It comes from this protective personality that feels like the world is out to get them. And when we can break free of a hex, the power and ability for us to live and to breathe and to expand, we're able to see all of that negativity, and we're able to transmute and alchemize it into a light code. So you can always revert and reverse anything back to its original state, which comes to light. Anything that deals with darkness allows you to see more light. We tend to focus on the darkness and we forget about the light. But when your primary vehicle is light, you're able to inverse the negativity, and you're able to attenuate and recalibrate it to a more positive mindset and a more positive frequency.
Amazing. What is family hexes? You say you go into detail about that?
Yeah. So with family curses, this is the burden of the martyr. This is the one that lives as the one that needs to be sacrificed, the one that needs to deal with all the drama and trauma. And we can live a whole lifetime healing. I say this is not our purpose this lifetime. We are not here to heal. We're all here to be heard, to be appreciated, to be loved, to be accepted. So when we can focus on that story, what happens with the family hex? It is there to remind you of your greater strength. It is there to strengthen you to know that you have a greater light that has the ability to clear the entire family line.
Where do you see human consciousness evolving?
Yeah, I see human consciousness evolving where the root, sacral, solar plexus, all these 1D, 2D, 3D forms, we're actually going to have the heart chakra as our base, and then we're going to evolve into our higher states of our chakra system. There's about 192 to 244 that we know of and we're tuned into. We're going to reach higher levels of consciousness where people begin to live from the heart, and then we amplify from the heart's frequency. So then we just become heart beings.
What are aliens?
Yeah, aliens are neurodivergent extraterrestrial vibrations that are benevolent in nature. And when we look at alien frequency, alien technology, there's lots of AI going on, which I visualize as alien technology. The pyramids, all these sacred sites around the world, aliens are part of our DNA and our billions and trillions of years old ancestors that are operating at a higher level of consciousness that goes beyond our mind. So when we can get rid of the mind, we start to see the unseen. I say live as the impossible dream. Live as the things that seem impossible to others, because that is your original code. You're meant to break the illusion that everything is actually possible.
Tell me a spiritual story that you have had happen to you personally that's really impacted your trajectory.
Yeah, I would say when I went through my divorce and I was served these divorce papers on my birthday back 2019. Crazy. Yeah, it's like all this stuff. I just remember myself being in this in-between space. I felt like a ghost, actually. I was no longer able to live the life that I thought I had. And for me to access my future, I really tuned into the sacred chants of the Divine Mother. I work with sound as one of my practices to connect me back to who I was. And through vibration and sound, movement, chanting, I learned to move my body, went to a lot of ecstatic dance, and just starting to learn about eating more whole, raw, intelligent, electrified food. My body started to connect to my higher state and my higher consciousness. So when we hit our rock bottom, we don't have to stay there because we have nothing to lose, actually. We have everything to receive. And just knowing that any part of your life that you feel right now, it feels like you want to give up, the best way to go through that is always stay consistently connected to your potential, your highest path. Without it, what happens is if we disconnect, it takes a lot of energy and work to build the initial momentum to get back onto the saddle. And I don't mean this by being productive, by being controlling, by focusing on doing and creating. I'm saying to be the creation itself. Don't be the creator that's trying to do the things. Be creation itself, because everything else manifests from creation itself. That's who we're learning to embody.
Wow, that was really impactful for me to hear. Could you tell us about the human body and how it's so special in this timeline?
Yeah. So your human body is a living temple. It's a walking pyramid. It's a walking sacred site. And with our bodies, we have access to what I visualize as the entire planet. We are our own planets. We are our own vehicles of constellary connection. And through this body, we're able to move through different layers of space, in time, in energy, through relationships. The greatest lesson that our body is teaching us is that through this, we are manifesting and creating creation itself. We are the one that gives birth to creation and also is creation created. So there's this nice, powerful dynamic that happens where your body is the most powerful vehicle to receive enlightenment and self-realization. It's the only vehicle to start with. And I say work with the body first, and then with the spiritual codes, with spirituality, with everything else. Without the body, the things fall off to the wayside. We don't take it to our next lifetime and timeline. So build a powerful, strong, healthy body. This will actually cut out 80 to 90% of lower energies and vibrations in your life. You have to know and remember what your body and why your body is here.
You had said that angels are jealous of our bodies.
Yeah, gods and angels are even jealous of this physical body. Because in this body, we can communicate to all beings. That's the difference. It's our mothership. You can think of it as your soul ship. Your greatest relationship you can have is actually with your body. Yes. So I'm with Harmony Bomb here, and the Magic Journal and the Magic Rainbow. I actually use these journals like a tarot card. So the way that I would play with this beautiful journal is I'll knock 3 times to clear. I'll place my hand towards my heart. I'll ask a specific question that I want to tune into. So I'll call in relationships, for example. And as I tune in and I feel the frequency and vibration, it's like pulling a card. I'll flip to a page. And this one's so cute. This one has black cat on a full moon, omen for good luck, incoming fortune, prosperity. Single women find suitors. Do you see the frequency? And I'm just talking about relationships. So when we're able to visualize and we're calling in our thought forms, the power of journaling and of this high frequency tool is you are creating from pen to paper your ability to bring your subconscious thoughts into tactile physical creation, and then you taking the action to live, to breathe, and feel the commitment of that allows you to manifest it in physical form. So with these journals, as you carry it forth, of course there's angel numbers all around. We have 111 and of course 369, Tesla's powerful 369 tool. When you're working with your journals, play a little bit. You can use them in a way that allows them to be your affirmation, your daily affirmation, your daily prompt. And first ask intentionally what it is that you are searching or seeking for, and allow the page to open and expand and be your accountability towards that greater commitment to yourself.